welcome everyone. My name is Isabella Wojcik. I'm with the James Beard Foundation, and I'm absolutely delighted to have sort of put on my fancy dress and put on a little perfume, and I'm spending an hour with all of you. I'm absolutely delighted to be kind of going out and spending some time with some really great chefs, talking about, of course, vegetables, plant-based, better for the body, better for the planet, better for all of us. So thank you again for tuning in and joining us here. And like I said, my name is Isabella Wojcik. I'm with the James Beard Foundation, and we are all about Open for Good, our initiative to help the industry, of course, the restaurant industry, survive this crisis, thrive, and sort of rebuild in a better way. So the programming that we do, whether it's webinars, whether it's these kind of virtual events, and one day soon I know will be in person, are all on that mission. We'll tell you about that mission at the end. But again, thank you for joining us. So tonight I'm being joined by a good friend, a wonderful co-host, and someone that I really implicitly trust when it comes to sort of the vegan dining scene and what's to know. And of course, I'm speaking about Diana Edelman, who's the founder of Vegan's Baby and a great sort of personality. So we'll be spending some time with her, and three fabulous chefs, business owners, all really diverse from the city of Las Vegas. So of course, I'm referring to Iman Hagog with Pots, John Lee and his business partner, Casson Trenner from Chikyū Vegan Sushi and Izakaya, and Angela Sweester, the queen who's gonna win over our hearts at her little shop, Queen of Hearts. That is tonight's sort of program. We'll dive into that shortly, but just a quick note about housekeeping. This is a webinar format, so we can't see you, but we know you're there. So please, 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 if you could, use the chat. Make sure you're sending your questions and comments, not just to the panelists, but all attendees, so we kind of can foster the conversation. There's no bad questions. Just please feel inspired, share your stories, tell us more about who you are, tell us where you're coming from. We love to know kind of the spread. And there's some very special attendees that are joining us tonight that I know are there. I can kind of feel all of you. We've got some great longtime members. We've got my colleagues. Our CEO, Claire Reichenbach, is joining us. There's a number of people who've made incredibly generous donations to the foundation in the past. I'm thinking of one very particular individual. So thank you for all of your support and friendship, and we couldn't be doing this without you. Tonight's sort of presentation could not be possible without our sponsor for this evening and a great partner in all of the things that we've done through the years. And I'm speaking, of course, about Oatly, a really wonderful company with a great sort of sense of humor and style, as well as just a great product. So thank you to Oatly for making this possible. And to just quickly introduce our dear friends, I wanted to acknowledge Sarah Fletcher. And Sarah Fletcher is the Communications and Public Affairs Director for Oatly. And Sarah, why don't you just say kind of a quick word of hello to the folks joining us tonight.
Sure. Hi, all. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah Fletcher. I am Communications and Public Affairs Director for Oatly North America. And I will make this very quick because we'll get to the fun stuff. If you haven't heard of Oatly, we are a sustainability company that makes oat milk and other types of oat-based products to help make it easy for folks to eat more plant-based, which we know is one of the most impactful things and delicious things that we can all do for the planet and for ourselves. And so I am just so excited to be here and listen and learn from all these incredible chefs. And I'm so excited to make it to Vegas at some point and come to your restaurants. So with all of that, I will leave it to you all just to teach us all to have fun with our food and learn how to eat more plant-based in a fun way. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. And somebody commented they love that Super Bowl commercial. So congratulations to like a funny idea and a great concept. All right, and thank you to some of you for posting where you're from. Let us know how you're doing. So without further ado, I'm gonna ask Diana Edelman, our co-host for tonight, to kind of take over and introduce us to Iman, and we'll start with the first segment. Hi, Diana.
Hello. Hi, I am Diana Edelman. I am the founder of Vegan's Baby. I am based here in Las Vegas, and my goal is to make vegan food approachable and accessible. And so this is actually my third event with the James Beard Foundation. I am so grateful. Thank you, Isabella, for believing in me. This is our first online event together. Normally, we're at the James Beard House, bringing in chefs and making amazing plant-based dinners and just featuring some very talented chefs from Vegas and beyond. And I am so happy to be here tonight. I'm going to just jump right to it because these chefs are amazing. Our first chef is Iman Hagog. She is the founder of Pots. It is the city's only Egyptian restaurant and the only vegan Egyptian restaurant. So we got 2 in 1 here. I had actually never had Egyptian food until I met Iman. And when I say her cuisine is mind-blowing, I'm not exaggerating. It's some of the best food I've ever had. She's in my Las Vegas Vegan Dining Guide as the best Egyptian. But she's just so much more than that. So Iman, I'm gonna let you take it away.
Woohoo! Hi, everyone. This is Iman Haggag from Pots, Las Vegas. So I'll start saying that I have no experience as a culinary expert, but with the help of Diana and a whole bunch of amazing vegan community here, I found my calling and I found my passion, and I'm here to represent. So today, I'm gonna show you something really, really, really exciting. It's the Pharaoh's Koshari. So we're gonna talk about the main street food in Egypt, which is called Koshari. It's plant-based by nature. That's why we're here. So we're talking about plant-based, that it's not just the future, it's also in the past. So Koshari is the plant-based, the national dish of Egypt. You can find it every corner. Everybody love it. Everybody eat it. And our mission to bring it here to America to taste. It's a 5,000 years old recipe, changed through centuries, and it became what we're gonna see today. So it started as farika, which is a whole wheat. Pharaoh's famous for the whole wheat, and lentils, and green fava beans, and chickpeas. But the funny part is that they didn't have tomato at the time. So they used red grapes sauce. And we've been trying so much to come up with the original flavors. And here it is. What do you think?
Well, so Iman, thank you for having that dish ready for us. So why don't you first, we know it's Koshari, but kind of tell us what's in the ancient, maybe start by what is Koshari now? Like what does that entail? And then tell us how this ancient dish, like what those components are in the ancient dish.
Perfect. So today, the modern day Koshari contains rice and lentil. This is the first base. And then you layer it up on top of that is alpo pasta and vermicelli. Then we have a spiced up, slow cooked tomato sauce, chickpeas, and amazing fried onions.
Okay, so that's the modern version, right? So now we have a sense and it's layered. So what did those pharaohs get to enjoy?
Yes, so the old pharaohs one, 5,000 years old, it has the farika, which is the whole wheat, farika, lentils, which is the brown lentils, chickpeas, and green fava beans. This is all cooked together, then topped with the red grape sauce and fried onion.
And are you saying red grape sauce? Grapes like that go into making wine like that? Okay, interesting. That's beautiful.
Yes.
And is it layered similarly? And it seems to be molded. Is that what is typical in modern day Egypt?
Yes. So the story behind the old koshari is that they used to offer it to the gods of Ra from a special tribe called the Kosher. And those Koshers were famous for this dish. That's why it's called Koshari later on.
Gotcha. Okay, so now you're going to show us a dish that's sort of the modern version that first of all, everyone got the recipe sent that Diana herself has experienced, right? So you can tell us firsthand. I think you requested that Iman show us how to make this dish. So here's kind of how that works. So take it away, Iman.
Okay, I got you. So we cook the rice and the lentil. This is already cooked. So you have the recipe. If you have any question, hit me up. But if we cook the rice and the lentil together, then I'm gonna plate it with you. We start with the first layer, rice and lentil.
And I'm guessing everything's hot, right? So everything's hot and ready to go, heated, and then we're assembling a hot dish. This isn't
You
cold
don't have
assembled.
to cook it all at the same time.
Okay.
You can actually cook the rice and lentil, have it in your freezer or a fridge, heat it as you want, spice this tomato sauce. It's good on everything. Filled up with good spices for your body like cumin, coriander, a little bit of nutmeg, which is cute. Love it. Pasta, I made, it take 5 minutes to cook. Some pasta on top of that. And you can make it your own too. You don't have to stick to the portions, but stick to the spices. Is amazing. I love spices.
I like to tell people
tomato.
Oh, sorry. When I eat this, I describe it as like it's like you're eating a warm hug. Like it's just the most comforting dish I've ever had. I mean, it's carbs on carbs, but it just makes you feel really good.
It's also loaded with protein. You have chickpeas, lentil. So with some salad, you have a complete balanced meal for weeks. You're not gonna get, like overkilling. We put the chickpeas. And then our fried onions, fried to perfection. I love this fried onions. Hear that? Amazing. And here you go. Your original Koshari recipe straight from an Egyptian hand.
So do you presently have this available at your restaurant? This is something that we would find. Okay. And if we were to go to Egypt, like when travel begins again, where would we find this and where and how would we order it? What would it look like? Can you tell us a little bit more about the dish?
It will look exactly the same, just in a container. You're gonna find it on every corner. Doesn't matter where you're at in Egypt, you'll find it. And it's the most beloved meal in the streets of Cairo.
So I'm also realizing, Diana was planning on leading kind of world tours, kind of doing the vegan tourism around the world. So, with COVID, that all of it had to pause, but I'm assuming Diana's headed to Egypt for a Koshari tour. Anyone out there joining her?
Iman and I have actually been talking about putting together a tour in Egypt. Yep. You are absolutely correct, Isabella.
All right. One, I would love to know in the chat, any attendees, anyone actually been to Egypt, have some familiarity with Egyptian cuisine, have had koshari. If you have any kind of comments or tidbits you want to share with us, please do. Otherwise, Diana, what is the vegan scene in Vegas like? That's really where you've honed in. Where is Iman's restaurant? Tell us maybe a little bit about the context of where her restaurant is and what the city's like.
Sure. Well, Las Vegas is incredibly vegan friendly. In just the 2 years since I founded Vegans Baby, well, this was obviously like 5 years ago now, but in the 2 years after I founded it, the vegan options in Vegas jumped about 400%. So Vegas is probably one of the most vegan friendly cities in the nation right now. We have more than 20 all vegan restaurants. We have hundreds of restaurants with vegan options. And actually, most of the vegan restaurants are not on the strip. They are off strip. We have one vegan restaurant on the strip, and that's Truth and Tonic inside Kenyon Ranch at the Venetian. And Potts is west of this strip, about what, 15 minutes, would you say, Iman?
Yes, it's called Spring Valley, which is like 15 minutes from the strip.
Mm-hmm. But so if you are coming to Vegas and you're staying on the strip, you have delivery options. You can also hop in a Lyft or Uber or a cab or a bus and get on over there. So there's lots of ways to experience the food from Potts, even if you're not nearby.
Thank you.
And Iman, have you had a chance to go to other vegan restaurants and try any of the food, and how is it?
I did, and the vegan community here in Vegas is pretty brilliant. I couldn't ask for a better community. They're very connected. They share each other experiences, and I enjoyed Simply Pure in Container Park. I enjoyed Vision Nation downtown. Chef Kenny's sushi. I didn't try John yet, but I'm willing to.
Yeah.
So we pretty connected, and I love it. And it's all about collaboration and pushing us each other further, and being innovative with our ingredients as well.
And can you tell us, what is Egyptian cuisine like? Is there a specific flavor? Is there something that is really sort of indicative? Does it depend on where you are? Can you give us any sense of Egyptian cuisine?
So Egyptian cuisine is a combination of everything that Egypt went through. So from the Pharaoh's time, then the Roman, we have a whole bunch of Italian and Greek minorities, as well as we are on the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, which most of the spices through the centuries went through it. Not to add the occupation from England, which has brought a lot of different nationalities with that. So we were exposed to a lot of different flavors through the years. What I can say is we're closer to Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, also very close to Spain, Greek, and Italian. And we use a lot of spices like India.
Wow. Okay. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go to Egypt. It's been on a very short list for me, but based on your description, okay, I'm coming for some recommendations, and based on some of the chat, people are fans. A lot of sort of love for Egyptian cuisine, good memories. So thank you. So thank you, Iman, for both taking us into your shop, into your restaurant, and letting us into your home. And before I turn it back to Diana and we move on to the next segment, do you have any questions for us or anything before we leave?
Thank you so much for having me. You guys were great. And I am so happy that I'm bringing the taste of Egypt to America and have these amazing questions about it.
Thank you, Iman, and thank you for being part of the James Beard Foundation family. You know, this is a small little virtual get together, but we're so looking forward to sort of crossing paths in person, seeing you again. So thank you. So
Thank you.
Stand by. We're going to go to the next segment, and thank you again, Chef Iman.
So now I'm off.
Am I taking it away?
Yes, Diana.
Okay.
Where are we going next?
So up next, we are going over to Chef John Lee and Cassin Trenner of Chikyū Vegan Sushi and Izakaya. So Chikyū is one of the only vegan sushi restaurants in Las Vegas. It is also the most upscale plant-based restaurant we have here in town. And I have just been blown away by the food that Chef John has made. I've never had sushi like his in my life. It is exquisite. And so I'm so excited for him to come on today and to talk about how to make vegan sushi, because it's an art, and I'm just, take it away, Chef and Cassin.
Hi, everyone.
Hey everyone, how are you? Thanks so much for having us.
So, Cousin,
Yeah, I'll jump into it. My name's Casson. I get the honor of working with John here at Chikyū restaurant, but also within our larger restaurant family. We're two people in a restaurant partnership that's been working on promoting solutions in the sushi industry for about 10 years. We believe that sushi could be a way that we can both nourish ourselves and heal the planet if we revisit original principles from it and rediscover ways to honor things like plants, seasons, and geography. So it's a real pleasure for us to, a couple years ago, or I guess a year ago now, come to Las Vegas and open Chikyū, our new venture. We're really grateful to the James Beard Foundation and Diana for having us here today. We're going to sort of tag team this a little bit. When we do this, we've found that it helps to have two people. So John's going to be preparing the dishes, and I'll be giving a little bit of a running commentary about who we are and what we're doing and the beautiful things that we get to look at. I'd like to start off by just saying that we're not doing anything new. Sometimes people hear about plant-based sushi and they think, well, what if it's just a reinterpretation of thing that's traditionally done with fish or something like that? I think it's important that we start from the principles of cuisine, where sushi originally comes from and what sushi means. Sushi just means vinegared rice. And it really came about as a way to preserve food. Back in the 1800s, when the Japanese didn't have access to a lot of refrigeration, they needed to move things around, and they found that packing it in vinegared rice could do that. Using wasabi and ginger would help with an antiseptic sense to keep things fresh and healthy. And little by little, it became a cuisine. So what we're trying to do is embrace all the different beautiful flavors and textures that plants can offer us and plug them into this same set of principles and skills and see what we can make. The chef is going to do 5 different pieces of nigiri, all plant-based. Four different pieces. Yeah, he got lazy. And then he's going to do a roll for everybody. I'll do a little bit of a play-by-play as we do this. The first piece, chef, you're going to make the tomato?
yes, tomato, eggplant, avocado. So the tomato we marinate with ginger, soy overnight. And how we cook the tomato is we blend the tomato and we peel off the skin and we quarter the tomato. And after that, we take out the seed and we put inside of marinade juice and marinate overnight. For the eggplant, I grill over the charcoal. I brush a little salad oil, grill over, simple as that. And then we cut nigiri style. On top, I put spicy miso. We're gonna do a little bit touch to cook up the miso, bring out the flavor and smoky taste. For the avocado, yeah, go ahead, bro.
When we think about sushi, I think it can be really helpful to think about it as sort of like a spectrum of experience. And conventionally, a lot of chefs have approached that using different types of fish or animal products, trying to create something that's sweet or something that's fatty, something that's smoky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's many different ways to approach that. And that's sort of how we look at this in terms of plants. How do we find the right type of plant-based ingredient that can deliver a really sultry, sweet experience, or that can deliver a really fatty experience that feels really buttery and smooth, or something like that. If you look, for example, at the nigiri plate John's preparing right now, that tomato, after its overnight marinade, has this really strong, beautiful umami flavor to it. And it's very plump and firm. So you get that really powerful experience, both taste and texture wise. I'm looking.
Hold on, I'm going to pause you. John is showing us. So, Chef John, can you tell us what's in the bowl? And you're showing a close up.
So
that's the tomato?
No, it's a seaweed purr. It's made by seaweed. So it's like tobiko, flying fish, egg, but it's made with seaweed. Inside we have tequan, pickled daikon, and fresh wasabi. So I'm gonna put a little bit of rice in here. This is a homemade truffle soy. I'm gonna squeeze over this a little bit, and I'm gonna top with some green onions and a little bit sesame seed. I'm gonna mix it up. All these combined together because the yuba. This is for the yuba nigiri. The yuba has had no texture. It's like tofu skin. So with this, it add the crunch, add the flavor. You get very good umami, all the flavor. You're gonna wrap inside the goodness yuba. And it's yuba from Japan. It's organic yuba. It's nama yuba from Japan. So I'm gonna wrap these up inside the yuba. Just a by side, like nigiri style. So we're gonna just roll it up, just like an egg roll. But I don't want to pack it too much because when you bite to the rice, you want the rice is not compact. You still taste the grain of rice. And I'm gonna cut this in half evenly. I'm gonna place on the plate, and then drizzle a little bit of the truffle soy on top, and finish with another. This is on the topping for the nigiri. So for the tomato, I'm gonna put shiso, shredded shiso. Shiso is a Japanese kind of like mint leaf. So they have very unique flavor. Um, so for the nigiri, it's go very well with the tomato. Then the negi is a green onion. For the eggplant, and the wasabi on top of the yuba again. And then this is the smoked beets aioli. We make all the sauces in-house. We only buy mirin, sake, and soy sauce. All the sauce, all the mayo, I make 8 quart of mayo every week. So we make all our sauce in houses. Okay, so I'm gonna top that on top of the avocado, and then on top of the avocado, I'm gonna do the lemon zest.
All right, so one, I wanted to point out in the chat line, my colleague Claudia has listed the 4 dishes that that chef is preparing, so you can kind of see the flavors and the combinations that he's been describing.
Okay, and then on the tomato, I'm just with a little bit cold flake.
I wish this was a takeout order and I was just hitting like quantities and it was coming to my door.
Isabella, when
sort
you
of a
Vegas.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Diana is actually placing her order right now.
I'm doing it after this to grab all that food.
This is a very funny form of torture, just watching food you can't smell, you can't eat. This great idea was this. I have a question. So Chef John and maybe Casson, if you can help us. So Chef talked about the marinated tomato, and it's got, it ends up once you peel it and you take all the seeds out, it's got this certain kind of texture. And then same thing for the grilled eggplant. He's sort of going for certain flavors and certain textures. Oh, but let's take a, oh my God, I think we're all trying to sniff our computer, our screens. Wow, that's gorgeous.
John, can you put it back by the camera real quick? So going from the left to the right, at the left you have avocado with the top, with the smoked beets, aioli, and the lemon zest. Just to the right of that, that is the tomato with shiso and matcha salt, or Japanese powdered green tea salt. Just to the right of that, you have your grilled eggplant with spicy miso, negi, which is a green onion, and sesame. And then at the end, you have the nama yuba, which is stuffed with rice, taquan, truffle shoyu, and then fresh wasabi on the top.
And some gold flake.
And I think, what we're seeing is, this is not a question of it's not fish, so it's not as good, right? Or it's not as considered. And the reason why, you know, to all the attendees, the reason why we're not doing a demo on like how to make these things is because the process for each one of them takes several days. Like we just wouldn't be able to show that to you, but we do hope that it does inspire you to kind of seek out places like this. But I did have a question about the Yuba specifically, which is like the tofu skin. Is that something, Chef John, that you make? Is that something that we can buy? Is that something commercially available? And maybe some of the attendees know, and Diana, any advice from your perspective on that? Sorry, I asked the question at the same time to everybody. So maybe Chef John and Cassin.
You want to take it, John?
You go ahead, bro. You go ahead. I think you know where.
You can absolutely buy Yuba for sure. We also buy Yuba. You can also make Yuba, but Yuba is a product of making tofu. So it's a process. Making tofu it's not difficult, but it's time consuming. But Yuba is something that naturally happens when you make tofu. The thing about the Yuba that we use is it's better than we could make. Nama Yuba is really top quality Yuba, and we're honored to be able to use it. So for things like that, sometimes it's just best, we think, to go to the experts and get the level of quality that you really want to serve your customers.
Thank you for commenting on that. And as far as sort of the approach to vegan sushi, are you trying to sort of go and find equivalents in standard Japanese sushi, or is it really about focusing on the vegetables sort of philosophically or on the ingredients and letting that be the dictator?
I think it's sort of a subtle distinction, but it's important to us. We really don't approach it as in what vegetable can we make taste like a certain fish. That's not what we try to do. What we try to do is conceive of an entire experience, what it would be like to have a delicious meal that scratches all these different issues and checks all these different boxes, and then try to put it together using ingredients that we feel we can support ethically, things that are local, things that are interesting, things that have a story, and things with a low carbon footprint, things that we feel are supporting the right producers. There's a million different little battles to fight and fires to put out when you have a restaurant, so it's all about priorities. But for us, we start with how do we make beautiful sushi using plants, and then we go from there.
Flavor, texture, presentation.
All right, I'm curious if there are any questions in the chat. Make sure you're asking. All right, there's a cute question about what's your favorite vegan hack for meat lovers? Any recommendations or suggestions?
Wow, I feel like that's almost a question for Diana. We can definitely speak to it in our little world of sushi. I think just from a sushi perspective, there's probably nothing as versatile and as effective as and this is a little old, this is no story, but as avocado. Avocado got into the sushi industry back in the 70s because it delivered that texture and depth that people had been looking for in fish for a while anyway. So we use it a lot. It's not particularly new or interesting, but man, it's useful.
Mushroom.
Oh, sure. And mushrooms. Mushrooms make so many different flavors depending on how you use them, how you prepare them, the hundreds of different species. I mean, it's amazing. We were actually just having a conversation with the chef who's up next right after us, just before we started this presentation, about how to get better and new mushrooms in Vegas, which is something that I think a lot of chefs get excited about. Oh, let's introduce this real quick. This is one of our more popular rolls at the shop. This is called the Stream Orchid. Inside the roll, John, you want to like pick up one of the pieces and show it side on so they can see? There we go. Inside the roll, you've got grilled enoki mushrooms with takuan, which is a kind of pickle, and avocado. It gives it the breadth and the suppleness. Then on the top, you have shredded tofu, that marinated tomato, a marinated and roasted bell pepper, more avocado, and a truffle shoyu that we make in-house. And on top of that, you see microgreens and a little orchid at the end for the name of the roll.
And it's phenomenal. I've had it. It's delicious. I mean, Perfect.
All of our rolls at Chikyū are all named after wildflowers that are native to Las Vegas.
What does Chikyū mean? Does that mean something?
Earth.
It means earth.
Right. And if I could ask a question of Chef John, you're originally from Vietnam.
Yes.
And you've made your way to the US, and you actually were in San Francisco at the other vegan sushi restaurant that Cassin is an owner, called Shizen in San Francisco. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey? Do the flavors of Vietnam, does your native cuisine ever show up in the way that you think about food? Do we get a glimpse of that, or is this really a focus around on Chikyū, and what drew you to vegan sushi in the first place?
So some of my food, there's flavor where I came from. So we use a lot of pickling. We pickle a pineapple, we pickle a mango, we pickle a cabbage. So those flavor, we're using Japanese ingredients like vinegar, all this chimi pepper. But the way to pickle it, the way how I care it is kind of like from where I learned from my mom. So yes, I would say yes, totally. And how did I start at season? So I just found online looking for job, and I found that they was looking for a sushi chef, and I came to apply for a job. So at first, I don't even know what is vegan sushi. I was doing fish before, and was I start working there and I developed the love between the vegan and the sushi and my customer. Like even though I work a lot of places, all like San Francisco, Vegas, like with fish, my customer not even give us like the crazy compliment that they gave it to me as they enjoy my vegan sushi. And it's kind of like more challenging for me to use these kind of ingredients to turn it something so delicious. That's the reason why it kind of get my attention. And from there, I've been doing this over 6 years now. So yes, it's just getting better and better.
How is Vegas treating you?
Oh, great. My especially my customer, they so what I'm gonna say like it's no words of like loyal. I mean like like fans. Like I have my customer come like 2 times a week, 3 times a week. They enjoy everything. Like they feel like there's a lot of support from them. Yes, a lot. Without them, we couldn't make it this far. We opened in during pandemic, so very appreciate all the love that they gave to GQ, to my team, and our restaurant.
Thank you, Chef John, and thank you,
Thank
Cassin.
you.
I mean, again, Diana is very lucky. She could just head on over right after this. But for the rest of us and anyone not in Vegas, we're very much looking forward to coming and seeing you in your space. And Cassin, thank you for sharing some of that. I mean, oh my God, look at that. All right, any other comments or questions? Just making sure we haven't missed anyone from the chat. And again, thank you for your participation. So we've had Koshari from Egypt. We've had some vegan sushi, which is gorgeous. I defy any of us to even think about fish when you're presented with such great opportunities. And now maybe for something a little sweet. So Diana, where are we going next?
So next up, we are heading over to Queen of Hearts in Las Vegas and Chef Angela Sweester, pastry goddess. I don't know a better word for her. We've got a whimsical tea shop that she has created, and she is going to showcase Oatly and how to make, as she calls it, panna cotta. So I love this spot. Her vegan
Aw.
tea is incredible. Chef Angela, take it away.
Hi. Oh, good. We're working. Hi. So
Hi.
I have two fabulous products here today. I think when you're making vegan food, a lot of times it scares traditionalists. They think like, ugh, what are we gonna do? Our scones are made without butter? No, sacrilegious. So I think that when we can make substitutions that are really easy, then it keeps everything simple and delicious. So I do a traditional style tea service here, and I also offer the exact same menu but vegan. And over the course of time, I have found as a chef, as an owner, that it's so much easier on my inventory and my bottom line to streamline my menu. And instead of having to wonder if these spritz cookies were the ones made with the, plant-based butter or the regular butter or traditional butter, that was hard to keep track of. So I streamlined everything that could be made vegan. I did, and all it did was make me make more money. There's apparently a lot of people who are vegan, and I don't have to be vegan to see the benefits of it. And I've been slowly coming over to that side. Like I use oat milk in my coffee now. Shh, don't tell anyone. But so anyways,
Don't tell the
today
cows.
we're gonna make don't tell the cow. Well, maybe tell the cows. That way they run slower. I still love a good steak. Sorry, that's horrible. But we have I have a plant-based vegan chocolate here, and I have a really cool oat milk here. It's provided by Oatly today, but I use oat milk in my shop anyways. The other options that I have for non-dairy alternatives are usually a nut milk or a soy milk. And because of my customers, again, streamlining and being menu efficient, we're all just coming out of like, very trying times. I just went with the oat milk. It's a lot easier for people to who have allergies or special dietary restrictions. So one of the things about panna cotta, however you like to pronounce it, if you're Italian or American, is that it's a cream that's set with gelatin. It's usually infused with vanilla bean. And so if you've ever had it, it's almost like a pudding, but it's like pudding and milk had a love baby. So they're just like jiggly and not quite set yet. They're just jiggling away. And you put your spoon into it and it breaks just gently. And when you put it into your mouth, there is a mouth feel to it. It's not a soup. It's not a sauce. And it's not as thick and sticky as a pudding. It's much smoother as it goes down. It is usually set with the slightest amount of gelatin. Now, because we're translating this into a vegan version, I have, if you're really technical, you'll notice that we've got 2 parts and 1 part, and this is chocolate, and this is the liquid is our oat milk. So we're basically making a loose set ganache. A classic ganache would be dark chocolate and heavy cream, 50-50, like equal parts, because this is a vegan milk chocolate and this is an oat milk, both of those items are a little softer in their natural state. So the ratio is a little different. Instead of it being 1-to-1, we're 2 parts on the solid and 1 part on the liquid instead of equal, because you want to make sure that something will hold it. Since we're not using gelatin, the natural holder is the chocolate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, the recipe is on the website. It's going to tell you 500 grams of chocolate and 250 grams of oat milk. That's also going to be 1 pound of chocolate and 1 cup of oat milk. So we're going to go ahead and heat this oat milk. It's going to go in there. And I'm going to turn that on. And it gets really hot really quick. We're going to pour it over here. And I'm going to put it together and lay it into our vessels. Then by the magic of TV, you'll see the ones that have come out already and we'll get to taste them together. Just kidding. I'm going to eat it and you're going to watch. What I like about this is that we were talking earlier with Chikyū about textures and how to create something to complement flavors and components that we're already familiar with. They were talking about the avocado and the mushrooms. Shout out to Sundown Mushrooms. They're a local mushroom vendor here in town. They've got big bad lion's mane, and I know they were talking earlier about sourcing that. So just shout out to all of our local things. Shout out to Diana for making this all happen. And Isabella, when you come, like, I know Egypt seems far away, but just come here. I mean, we've got the Luxor pyramid, we've got the Egyptian food, we've got vegan sushi, and you've got like Vegas tea time. I mean, come on. Diana's here too. It's great. And I hear the flights are really bumping right now, so that should be good. We've got this on. Yeah, it cooks a lot faster when it's on, huh? And another thing that's important when you're doing these is make sure that your chocolate is chopped up into uniform pieces. I could tell you to put a pound of chocolate here and then pour the liquid over, but if it's not chopped up, it's gonna kind of take a lot longer to incorporate, and you might not get a good homogenization, a good mix. Since it is so simple, I think it's like, oh, impossible to mess up. But watch you go ahead and mess it up, huh? Like you'll just heat it up and pour it. I'm sorry. Like, oh, it's just so simple. Pour it over, pour it in there. I do have a couple different types of equipment here today. This is an electric induction burner. So if you're gonna be using an open flame at home, like very much like the colonial days, then I would suggest having your flame very low. You cook faster by cooking slower sometimes. This is not the hotline, all right? Like I don't have a micros ticket going on behind you. No, this isn't for a very big order. You're gonna gently bring your liquid to like a steam. So it's not boiling like pasta water. It's just like dragon's breath early in the morning. Like that's what you want.
Baby
and
dragon.
actually, yeah, cute baby dragons. And actually you'll see that it's steaming right now. So I'm gonna turn it off. And then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna pour it right over my chocolate. And my instinct is gonna be like, oh, whisk it right away, right away. But actually, if you let the liquid sit on it for just a moment, it kind of turns the chocolate into like Play-Doh. And with that Play-Doh, you can get a much easier mix, like Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, everything just right. Now, this thing, again, if you were in the colonial days, works great. I could have poured the chocolate into the pot, whisked it all together, but the pot's a little warm, the chocolate's a little soft, don't want to burn that. So I'm gonna actually use this really cool tool. You could use a whisk at home, okay? It's okay. You can use a whisk and you can use fire, totally allowed. We're here, we do things with different things. So I've got what we call an immersion blender. We immerse it and then we turn it on. Do not turn this on full blast or this is gonna get really crazy. I'm gonna turn it on low. And you can watch from here, you'll be able to see it like getting all mixed in. Now, also using this, you don't want to turn it into a jacuzzi bath. Like just because it mixes really well doesn't mean we're trying to go foam, all right? Although I guess this is a great time to say the barista edition of Oatly creates a lovely foam. Ding. It does though. I tried it in my coffee this morning. Oh, look. And so now it's coming out beautiful and perfect. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It looks cool.
And I wanted to ask you, there's a distinction. You're using milk chocolate, correct? Not dark chocolate, not milk, not
Yes.
white chocolate, obviously. So
thank you for bringing that up. It's an important distinction. If I was using the dark chocolate, I would have to do an equal parts ratio because the dark chocolate, it needs all the extra liquid that it can get to get soft enough for the texture that we're going for. Remember, panna cotta has just barely set texture. So I don't want a thick ganache where your tongue has to really work it down. I want your spoon to hit it and you to be like, oh, that just barely scooped. That's lovely. So we're gonna take this out. And this is what I'm gonna be casting into my small vessels. Now I've got these little vessels are like 2 by 2 inch. They're probably like a 1/4 inch thick. My lovely assistant in the back, could you please pull the TV Magic out of the cooler? They're in the far left cooler on the very bottom. Can you bring these out that are already filled? Thank you, thank you. So we're gonna be.
So it sounds like you didn't have to cool this at all, right? You heated it,
No,
but it wasn't boiling in terms of the oat milk.
Correct.
You whisked it or blended it, but just barely. And now you're like immediately pouring it in.
Yes, if I were to let it sit too long, I won't have it liquid to flow.
Okay.
You can just set those on the silver tray, like maybe 4 of them, please.
And Chef, I actually have a question for
I have
you.
a lovely assistant today. Yes, go ahead.
Have like vegan chocolate chips. Can I use vegan chocolate chips to make this, or do I need to go buy like the
Yeah.
chocolate?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. That's what's great about this recipe is that it's a ratio, and that's why I spend a lot of time talking about textures, because it's a mouthfeel that you're going for. For example, if I were to say, hi, welcome to our episode of how to make the color orange, I would say we're going to take red and we're going to take yellow and we're going to blend them together, and now we have orange. But if it's Halloween time, I need a much more vibrant orange versus if it's spring and I'm looking for something more pastel. So the same concept would apply for the type of chocolate that you use or the type of liquid that you use with this. I always encourage people to mess around with it and play with it and get wild. Some of the things you can do with the liquid, which I call liquid because it can be milk, it can be cream, it can be oat milk, it can be soy milk, it can be, I feel like Bubba Gump right now, but you can steep vanilla bean. You could freshly zest some orange or lemon zest into that and let it just low steam. You're not boiling it, you're not burning the bottom of it, you're just steaming it, and then cover it and turn it off for 10 minutes. Just let it sit there, kind of like making your own tea, but instead of water, you're using the liquid for the panna cotta. Then you're going to strain that over the chocolate before you blend it, and now you can change it to do whatever you want. The only important part to remember is that if you're using dark chocolate, you want to do 50-50. You want to do equal parts chocolate to liquid. And if you're using something like milk chocolate, the question you asked, Isabella, then you need to be aware that there's already milk in it. This is a vegan one, so it's not milk. There's already that softness to it, so you don't want to have as much liquid. So in this one, we did 2 parts chocolate, 1 part liquid. I'm just going to zap the bubbles off. I'm sure you have another question.
Just any vegan chocolate brands that you can recommend?
I am going to be 100% shameless here and just use the brand that I have that I use. I get it here in town locally. It's by Falkland. Several places carry it. I'm not sponsored by them. They don't owe me, I'm sorry. I love Oatly. They're great. I actually use them. But this brand is, I want to say it's out of Switzerland. So they have very, very happy cows over there. And this is probably why, because they're making vegan chocolate. They don't have to, you know what I mean?
And what was that name again? What was that name?
The brand is, can you see this? Falkland.
Ah, gotcha.
Falkland, okay. Yeah. And I get it from the distributor here in town that I get it from is AUI. So AUISwiss.com.
I mean, I don't know that it would necessarily help for consumers, right, and home cooks. Somebody in the panel is recommending Love and Joy Life.
Never heard of it, but that sounds great.
Has comments or experience, maybe Diana knows.
Well,
okay. And one more thing, I had a question for you. Yeah, Diana, sorry to cut you off.
I use, because I don't have bars of chocolate, but what I would use for this, since we can use chocolate chips, is I would use the Kroger brand makes Simple, I believe it's Simple Truth. They have chocolate chips, and those are vegan.
Thank you. And Angela, what were you just doing now with the torch? What was that?
Oh, so when you have bubbles and you need to pop them, it's just like a little thing I like to do for visual texture. Before a custard or before anything sets, I like it to be perfectly smooth and tranquil. And so I'll take, instead of just like standing there with a toothpick and trying to pop things, I'll just burn it down.
Okay.
And I'll just torch it a little bit and it'll make it nice and smooth. And that's what I just did right now too, because I wanted to put a little bit of garnish on here before I eat it in front of you. Make you very jealous.
So once we
Just
put,
two
once we
chocolate
put them,
ounces of the same
once we
chocolate.
put the melted chocolate oat milk into the dishes, can you talk us through what are you storing them? Are you putting them in the fridge? Like what happens there?
It depends
cool
how
them?
quickly I need them.
Okay.
Again, we're Goldilocks. So if I need them right away, then they're going to go in the freezer for a few minutes till they can set hard, and then I'll pop them out and I'll put them in the cooler just to keep them. I like to eat these not quite room temp, but definitely I don't prefer to eat them right out of the refrigerator. I feel like it's a little too cold, a little too firm. You know, you want it to just kind of like a cheese, how a cheese tastes better once it's softened a little bit.
Yeah. Got
Well,
it. Okay.
sorry, plant-based.
No, but same that idea. Okay. And you're garnishing.
Yeah, these are just little pieces of the same chocolate. I think, you know, like we said earlier, it's important to keep things simple. You know, I think a lot of people's nerves come because they're like, oh, what is soaked flaxseed? Ugh. And really, it's fine. You know, you got to think about people who go to dinner and they're paying like $16 for some tomahawks, or they're paying $60 for a tomahawk steak, but then they're paying $12 to $16 for all those little cast iron skillet sides of roasted mushrooms, braised Brussels sprouts, and, you know, the grilled asparagus. So they're getting all of those side items, and someone else, that would be our main course, like you know, a 3-course meal for us. So I think it's important not to just push it off to the side, and to remember that, you know, every body eats. You know, we all of our bodies eat. Some of us just eat different things than others. It's really not that different though. So I'm actually, I heard Chef say that he had gold flake on his beautiful vegan sushis, and I got excited because we love gold leaf and glitter in this little tea shop. And I'm going to finish off my garnish here with just a little bit of gold leaf as well. And I set that right on the side. Gold leaf is fun to play with. If you ever order it online, you can get it as a consumer now. The first time I ever tried to use it, I was probably like 18. It was my first pastry shop, and they told me to go get gold leaf from the back. I am not kidding you. I actually sat there and tried to lift the whole sheet off of the pan. I had no idea what I was doing. And now I'm like, oh, for those of you who don't know, also like me back, you know, a long time ago, you just peel the corner up and the gold leaf is in there. But if you so much as blink an eyelash at it, it will flutter away. So, and it's real gold and it's edible. So you got to be mindful of how you apply it. If you see it on things, be like excited, because it's not an inexpensive item. It's really cool.
Angela,
so here we go. We're done with those.
Could we ask you to come over and maybe show us a close-up? Is that possible?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't know if we could see the
and
gold.
then I'm gonna just. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'll open it.
I was gonna say the chocolate, the panna cotta.
Yeah, you can see the panna cotta. That's what we're all here for.
Let's see that. Okay.
So here's the panna cotta. Oh, the chunks are falling off. The garnish is falling off. But here's the panna cotta.
All right,
you
don't
can see
move.
about how thick.
Quick photo. Don't move. It's so cute. Oh my God. Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead.
And then I'm just gonna come into it, and I'm gonna have this is like so smooth. Oh my God, all my chocolate garnishes are on my toes now. All
right, and show us the
You guys
texture.
gotta come in. It's like incredible when it's fresh. Wow.
Is this on your menu? Is this something that you have all the time?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. So when Diana hit me up and she's like, "Hey, what's your level of interest in participating in this Oatly thing?" And I was like, "Oatly?" I was like, "We use oat milk all the time. We use it in our panna cotta." And she's like, "Perfect, you're in." Like, it's great stuff. I use it in my scones, and no one knows. The traditionalists are like, "What? Vegan?" Sorry, the chocolate's really good. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Angela. All right, we are at time, and I'm very mindful of everyone's time. So thank you so much to Angela Sweester.
And thanks to my family. I saw you all.
Aw, and this incredible Alice in Wonderland sort of, you'll just have to go and visit, because that is just one section of her shop, and there are many other sections, and they don't all look like that. But thank you so much, Angela Sweester. I wanted to acknowledge Chef John Lee and Cassin Trenner of Chikyū, vegan sushi and Izakaya. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm hoping you're putting your screens on so we can see your faces one last time. And thank you to Iman Hagog from HOTS. Thank you so much for being part of this as well. And to Diana Edelman, who we've so enjoyed having at the Beard House in person in New York, and now, of course, here. So to all of you out there, one last kind of parting note. First, thank you again to Oatly, our partner and sponsor for this. And thank you to Sarah Fletcher for being available and saying a few words to us. And on behalf of all of us at the James Beard Foundation, I did want to just remind you, we are all about Open for Good, our initiatives that we had pivoted and sort of put the full attention of all of our resources at the foundation has been on this notion of trying to help support the independent restaurant industry and the community survive the pandemic and really reopen in a way that is more sustainable and more equitable for all. And so those initiatives have included everything from webinars to crisis relief grants last year to our latest initiative, which is an ongoing investment fund for Black